Hello and welcome. I am Anti-Derivative Jill. Ghostbusters Afterlife is certainly a movie that I recommend you go see now if you haven't. This review has spoilers, and if you do go see it, make sure to watch after the credits. At first, I was worried about the old trope about the dad who abandoned his family, so I immediately hoped for a reasonable explanation. And saving the universe is a fairly decent one. But I have to admit, it's frustrating that we are unclear as to what exactly happened over those years regarding his family. Maybe that murkiness could have been part of the plot a little more succinctly. It also doesn't make a whole lot of sense that the other Ghostbusters wouldn't believe him, or at least come out and help once, or at least, come and have an intervention with him if they really did think he was crazy. But in the end, I believe the return of the Ghostbusters, including Egon's ghost, wasn't merely for nostalgia. It was a vital component for tying the original with the new. It was a much better way to do it than Generations tried with Captain Kirk and Picard and the Nexus and that nonsense. Ghostbusters Afterlife is more like the Next Generation episode, Sarek, which brought Spock's father and Captain Picard together in a very meaningful way. Phoebe's intelligent, resourceful, humble, and never once puts anyone down. The closest she comes to this is maybe when she asks Trevor why he doesn't read to learn about capacitors, but that's really just something readers say to those we respect and see potential in. Anyway, we all know why her brother doesn't read. He's trying to impress Lucky. Phoebe accepts help readily from others and is generous with their time. Most importantly, we see her fail when she and Podcast cannot catch Muncher. We find that she'll listen to her teacher, who is a curious seismologist, and she also doesn't stop Podcast when he has an idea. Furthermore, Phoebe doesn't shirk when Egon begins to help her, even though she just learned about the reality of ghosts. Egon's help successfully infuses his spirit into all of the scenes that he's in, and it lends that credence we need that Phoebe could fix the proton pack and Trevor could fix the Ecto-1. It is made clear that these children wouldn't achieve as much as they did without Egon all the way to the final scene. And Podcast himself reminds me of some of my friends here on YouTube. He's clever and funny and loves his own voice. I don't like mine. I like how he has a plan and isn't afraid to fly by the seat of his pants and think on his feet. For instance, when Phoebe can't pick the police lock, he lets Muncher escape to do the job. Some reviews are saying that it leans too heavily toward nostalgia and references. While that is true, I counter that they are not just there to bring joy. They serve an integral purpose to the plot and the atmosphere. I found it ingenuitive to use a remote-controlled car for the trap, but I did have to extend my disbelief that such a device could go so fast and hold that much battery life and power. Even so, it gives me hope that when there's another film, if there is, these kids will come up with some great inventions. And this movie is all about Egon's inventions and his technology and his final mission. We're introduced to things he's made, like I don't know the official term for it, but it looks like an automatic multi-proton pack device that he sets up in order to keep the spirits of the dead miners in check. That was a reminder, though, of one of my gripes, though. He had definitive proof to show his friends. Maybe this movie could have been improved if Ray was there with him. If I have to admit to any moment that only served nostalgia, that would be when Gruberson, Paul Rudd's character, goes to Walmart and is attacked by tiny Stay Puft marshmallows because somehow Ray's choice for the destructor is living on in miniature. It's silly and frivolous, but the terror dog does look awesome, bounding around and making a mess, in order to make the Walmart look a little more normal. A little girl next to me said, "That doesn't look like Walmart." She's right. It was too sterile. But be quiet, little girl. I'm trying to watch a movie. My favorite line in this film was, "Overstimulation calms me." My friend's favorite line made me roll my eyes a bit. The kids are in jail as an obvious homage, and the officer asks, "Who are you going to call?" My son and most of the theater yell out, "Ghostbusters!" At least it wasn't just nostalgia bait, because she really did call the Ghostbusters number, where Ray still has a bookshop tied to that number. One confusing part is when they joke that the firehouse was turned into a Starbucks. But if you stay until after the credits, you discover this isn't true when Winston pulls in a clean and fixed up Ecto-1. What were they thinking when they wrote that joke? We can speculate from this that Winston might be the one to bring everybody together next time, in the next adventure. All in all, this movie was a fitting tribute for Egon. The real test of this franchise will be how well they can follow the spirit of Ghostbusters when faced with having to create new supernatural phenomenon in a unique adventure. If done correctly, what follows may be even better than this movie, which does recycle the old villains. This movie is another case where I enjoyed a derivative film, because it was done with respect and was within the boundaries of the universe that it lives in. However, since it leaves so much of the backstory out and doesn't give us that original villain, I need to give it a B. This movie was a fantastic way to move things forward while respecting the past. And that's all.